the shoemaker and the shoes that didn't fit. In a quiet little town on the outskirts of the city, there stood an old shoe shop hidden beneath the shade of an ancient banyan tree. The sign above the faded door barely read anymore. Shoe repair, mending more than just soles. The shop belonged to Mr. Lamb, a man in his 70s, hair white as snow, eyes gentle like the late afternoon sun. For over 40 years, he had stitched thousands of shoes. Shoes of the poor, the workers, the students, and even those who never returned. People used to say, every shoe that passes through Mr. Lamb's hands doesn't just get repaired. It gets a touch of kindness sewn into it. One rainy afternoon, a young man named Min stepped into the shop. He held a pair of polished leather shoes, slightly dirted by mud. "Please fix these quickly," he said. "I've got an important meeting tomorrow." Mr. Lamb carefully wiped the mud and studied the stitching with quiet patience. Min sighed impatiently. "They're just shoes, old man. No need to fuss. Do it fast. I'll pay you double." The old man smiled softly. "Son, shoes may tear, but when a person walks through life carelessly, their soul tears too." Min chuckled, dismissively. "I don't need philosophy. I just need shoes I can walk in." He left, the sound of the needle still clicking steadily in the damp air. Years went by. Min was now a successful businessman, wealthy, respected, and busy. Yet, deep inside, there was a hollow space he could never fill. He was always in a rush, rushing to sign contracts, to drink coffee, to forget his feelings. One morning, hurrying into a meeting, he noticed the heel of his old leather shoes, the same pair from years ago, had come undone. For reasons he couldn't explain, he drove back to that small town. The street was the same, but the shop was silent. The door was shut, the sign half-broken, covered in dust. On the work table lay a folded piece of paper in shaky handwriting. "If you ever return, remember this. Slow down. Don't let your soul wear out like the soles of your shoes." Min froze. The wind blew through the doorway, carrying the faint chime of the wind bells, the same sound he'd once heard a decade ago. He remembered those wrinkled hands sewing with care, that peaceful smile, and those eyes that could see straight through leather, into the heart of the one wearing it. He sat down, picked up an old rusty needle, and tried to sew the torn heel himself. His hand slipped. A small prick, a drop of blood. He laughed bitterly. In that moment, he understood. He had been walking so fast, he'd forgotten how to take a step. He had everything, yet no time to live, to love, to listen, to smile. Sometimes shoes no longer fit, not because our feet have changed, but because our hearts have. Later, Min reopened the shop, keeping the old sign exactly as it was. And beneath it, he placed a small wooden board that read, "The Shoemaker's Shop, Stitching Back the Steps of Kindness." He no longer repaired shoes for money, but to remind himself each day that patience, care, and kindness, even in the smallest acts, are the very shoes that carry us safely through the storms of life. The message: in our fast-paced world, we rush so much that we even forget how to tie our own shoelaces. But sometimes simply pausing and stitching one broken thread is how we mend the part of our humanity that's quietly falling apart. Slow down so your soul doesn't wear out like old shoes. Story 2. The Lamp in the Rain. It was a cold winter night. Rain poured endlessly over a quiet street, where only the sound of water and the flicker of a dim streetlight broke the silence. Under a tattered umbrella, an old woman sat by the sidewalk. In front of her, a small charcoal stove glowed softly, filling the air with the sweet scent of roasted corn. Her raincoat was torn, and the weak flame of her oil lamp danced restlessly in the wind. Her name was Lon, over 60 years old. People in town called her the Lamp Lady, because no matter how hard the rain fell, her lamp was never out. She used to say, "If the light goes out, no one will see me here. And besides, this little light tells people that someone is still waiting." The night encounter. The rain grew heavier. A motorcycle sped past, then suddenly turned back. A young man, drenched from head to toe, stopped in front of her stall. He took out a spare raincoat and held it out. "Please take this, Granny. You'll get soaked out here." The old woman smiled gently, her voice trembling in the cold. "It's all right, son. Getting wet is fine. But if this lamp goes out, who will see me to buy?" The young man looked at her. The faint flame, the rising smoke, the frail figure holding on beneath the storm. Something inside him shifted. "Then, I'll buy them all," he said quietly, "so you can go home early." But she shook her head, her eyes glimmering through the rain. "Just buy one, dear. There's a lot of corn. And a lot of hungry people too. If everyone buys them all, what will those who come later eat?" He didn't say another word. He bowed slightly, took one ear of corn, and rode off, feeling a strange warmth spread in his chest. The morning after. The next morning he came back to that same corner. The stove was cold. Only a wooden stool and a rusted oil lamp remained. A neighbor whispered. She'd been sick for days, but still came out to sell. Last night's storm was too much for her. The young man, Nam, stood silently. He lifted the old lamp in his hand. It was featherlight, yet it felt as heavy as a piece of his heart. The flame was gone, but inside him, it was still burning. Years later, Nam grew up to become the founder of a charity called Light for Lives. He and his volunteers traveled to remote villages, installing solar lamps where children once studied under candlelight. At the first opening ceremony, someone asked, "Why did you choose light as your mission?" Nam smiled, his voice calm and full of memory. "Because once, on the coldest night of my life, I met a small lamp that didn't light up the world, but it was bright enough to keep my heart from going dark." That night, Nam sat alone in his office. On his desk rested the same rusted oil lamp, the only thing left from the lamp lady. He lit it once more. The golden light flickered softly across the room. Outside, the rain began to fall again. But this time, he didn't feel cold. The message: not everyone can light up the whole sky. But if each of us can keep even a small lamp burning within our hearts, the world will never be completely dark. Be that lamp, fragile perhaps, but never extinguished by the storm. Story 3: The Man with the Broken Mirror. In a quiet seaside village, there lived an old man named Eli. Though well past 70, every day he could be seen walking slowly down the narrow path, holding a small piece of broken mirror wrapped in an old cloth. Whenever someone asked about it, he simply smiled kindly and said, "I keep it to remember the mistake I once made." No one really understood what he meant, until one curious child approached him one afternoon. "Grandpa Eli, why don't you throw that mirror away? It's broken." The old man brushed back his silver hair, his eyes gazing toward the glowing horizon. "Some things break," he said softly, "not so we forget them, but so we remember never to break anything else again." Painful memory. Many years ago, Eli had a small, happy family, a gentle wife and a young son named Noah, the pride and joy of his life. Noah was a sweet boy, kind, imaginative, and always smiling. But to his father back then, he seemed too soft, too dreamy. One stormy afternoon, while cleaning the house, a loud crash echoed through the room. The large mirror, their wedding gift, had fallen and shattered. In a surge of anger, Eli shouted, "You're always careless. Is there anything you can do right?" Noah, terrified, tried to explain through tears, "I didn't break it, Father. I was just trying to clean it." But Eli wouldn't listen. His rage drowned out reason. He threw a piece of the mirror into the yard and yelled, "Get out! I don't need a lying son." Noah ran into the storm. That was the last time Eli ever saw him. A lifetime of regret. A week later, someone found Noah's shirt near the riverbank. No one knew if he was alive or gone forever. From that day on, Eli became a shadow of himself. Every morning, he walked to the river, sitting in silence for hours. In his trembling hands, he held the piece of broken mirror he had picked up that terrible night. When he looked into it, he didn't see his own wrinkled face. He saw the frightened eyes of his little boy, full of pain and innocence. From then on, Eli never raised his voice at anyone. He helped the villagers, taught the children, and often said, "When someone makes a mistake, don't rush to anger. Let them see themselves through kindness, not judgment. Sometimes people don't need punishment, they just need to be understood. The light at the end. Years passed. Eli grew old and weak, bound to his bed. But the broken mirror never left his side. He would clean it gently each morning, as if polishing his own memories. One quiet evening, a young man appeared at his door. He looked hesitant, yet familiar. "It's me," the man said softly. "It's Noah." Eli's frail hands shook. Tears streamed down his face. "My son, I thought I'd lost you forever." Noah smiled, placing a new mirror into his father's hands. "I kept my broken piece too, Father. It reminded me that a father's anger can shatter a child's heart, but forgiveness can mend everything." Eli wept. He placed the old shard beside the new mirror. Two halves of a life. One of mistakes, one of forgiveness, finally forming a perfect circle once more. The message: a mirror may break only once, but when a heart breaks, it can take a lifetime to heal. Forgiveness doesn't make us weak. It makes us whole again, and a little less lonely, in the reflection of our own soul. Crescent Moon stories of the ancient heart. Timeless tales that whisper wisdom across generations. Because sometimes the lesson we need most is hidden in our own reflection. Story 4. The Last Bus Ticket. On bus number 12 that wound its way through the aging streets of the city, there worked a young woman named Lena, 23 years old, a ticket collector. Every day, people would see her in her faded uniform, holding a stack of worn tickets, her gentle smile never leaving her face even as sweat glistened on her forehead. The job was hard, the pay was meager, yet Lena never complained. To her, every ticket was a brief encounter between two souls, and every passenger carried a story worth respecting. The passenger who never missed a ride. Among hundreds who boarded the bus each day, Lena always remembered one old man, frail, blind, his silver hair thin as mist, his hand gripping a worn wooden cane. Every afternoon, exactly at 5 o'clock, he waited at the 7th stop, a quiet corner most people overlooked. He never spoke much, but whenever he heard Lena's voice, he would smile softly. "Good evening, sir. Your favorite seat by the window again." She would gently guide him onto the bus, helping him sit by the window, where the last rays of sunset fell, even though he could no longer see the light. Fearing he might feel lonely in the dark, she would describe what she saw outside. "We're passing the park now, sir. The kids are flying kites. The sky's so clear today." The old man would stay silent, smiling faintly, as though her words had painted light back into his world. That rainy season. One evening, the rain poured endlessly. Few passengers came aboard. The old man appeared as usual, his thin coat soaked through. Without hesitation, Lena took off her own jacket and draped it over his shoulders. "Please be careful, sir. You'll catch a cold." The old man's voice trembled as he replied, "You always care for others, child. Yet never keep anything for yourself." Lena smiled softly. "As long as others feel warm, I'm warm enough." That was the last time she ever saw him. After that night, he never boarded the bus again. When she asked around, no one knew where he'd gone. Only whispers that he lived alone in a small house by the lake. 5 years later, Lena fell ill. A lung disease forced her to leave her job. Each day, she sat by her window, counting the passing buses, missing the hum of engines, the soft rip of tickets, and the quiet laughter of the blind old man. One afternoon, a colleague from bus number 12 came to visit, carrying a thick envelope. Inside were the ownership papers for a small lakeside house, and a letter written in shaky handwriting. "To the girl whose smile was brighter than sunlight, I was blind, yet through you I saw the world again. You showed me life's beauty through kindness and warmth. If I leave before you, I wish this house to be yours, the only person who truly saw me when no one else did." Tears streamed down Lena's face. She realized then, sometimes light doesn't come from the eyes, but from the heart that knows how to see others. 1 year later, Lena passed away, but the little house by the lake remained. On the window hung an old, faded bus ticket, yellowed by time. Beneath it, carved into the wood, were words that stopped every passerby. A ticket may cost only a few coins, but when given with kindness, it can change a life forever. Message: a small act of kindness, a smile, or even a simple bus ticket, when offered sincerely, can touch someone's heart for a lifetime. For sometimes, people don't need to be given much. They only need to be seen and understood. Story 5. The Father and the Broken Kite String. It was a golden summer afternoon. The countryside shimmered under the sun as the wind swept across the rice fields. Children's laughter filled the air. They were chasing kites that danced high above, their joy echoing in the breeze. Among them was a young boy named Ethan, running barefoot through the fields, holding tightly to a bright blue paper kite. Beneath the old banyan tree, his father sat watching, a gentle smile on his face. It was the first kite they had made together, crafted from scraps of old newspaper, thin bamboo sticks, and a frayed piece of hemp string. The moment the string snapped, suddenly, a strong gust of wind swept across the field. The kite fluttered wildly. Then snap, the string broke. Ethan froze as the kite spun a few times, then drifted away into the burning orange sky. Tears welled up in his eyes. "Why did it fly away, Dad? I held on so tight." His father gazed at the fading kite and said softly, "You think the string was holding it back, son, but that very string is what helped it fly." Ethan looked puzzled. His father chuckled kindly, his eyes warm. "If there's no string, the wind will carry the kite away forever. It will fly but never know the way home. Just like you, my boy. Someday, when you leave home, remember this. Some ties may feel like chains, but they're what keep you from losing yourself." Ethan wiped his tears. The image of his father, calm under the sunset, speaking gently, stayed with him for years to come. Years later, Ethan grew up and moved to the city for college and work. He became busy, successful, but distant. He told himself that freedom meant living without rules, without ties. Yet, in the noise and rush of the city, he began to feel lost. Lonely dinners, empty apartments, celebrations with no one to share them. Success started to feel hollow. Then one rainy night, his phone rang. It was a neighbor from his hometown, voice trembling. "Ethan, your father is very sick. If you can, please come home." The world around him fell silent. He dropped his phone. The bus ride home that night felt endless. The last return. By the time Ethan arrived, his father was already gone. On the altar lay a single blue paper kite, neatly placed beside a note written in trembling handwriting. "I kept this kite all these years, waiting for the day we'd fly it again. But if you're too busy, that's all right, because I believe the wind always finds its way home." Ethan fell to his knees. Memories flooded back. The laughter, the fields, the sound of the wind, his father's voice. He wept, not just for loss, but for all the words he never said. A few months later, Ethan stood once more in the golden field of his childhood. In his hands, the same old kite. He tied the frayed hemp string tightly and lifted it to the wind. The kite soared, higher than ever before. As it danced against the blue sky, Ethan smiled through tears. He whispered, "Now I understand, Dad. Freedom isn't about flying away. It's about being grateful for the string that keeps you steady, even in the storm." Moral: not every bond is a chain. Some are the strings that keep us from drifting too far. True freedom isn't found in breaking away, but in cherishing the invisible ties, love, family, memory, that remind us who we are and where we belong. Time fades, people leave, but kindness remains, echoing quietly through every heart it once touched. Because in the end, it's not what we keep, but what we give that makes us eternal. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because kindness grows when it's shared. Peace.